The weight of freedom. The invisible chains. Are you truly free or just living a lie? We all crave freedom, don't we? The freedom to choose, to live, to be exactly who we want. It's the rallying cry of generations, the dream woven into our culture. But what if the very freedom we chase isn't what we think it is? What if, instead of liberation, it's a profound, sometimes terrifying burden? Today, we're going to dive into one of philosophy's most challenging concepts, the weight of freedom. We'll explore why the idea of absolute choice can feel less like a gift and more like an invisible chain keeping us from truly living. And by the end, you might just see your own life, your own choices, and your own path to authenticity in a completely new light. 1. The allure of freedom. From the moment we're toddlers screaming, "I want to do it myself," to adults dreaming of quitting their jobs to travel the world, the call of freedom is irresistible. We're told we can be anything, do anything. The world is our oyster. This is the bedrock of Western thought. Individualism, self-determination. This idea blossomed with thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, who declared, "Man is condemned to be free." A powerful statement, isn't it? Condemned, not blessed. Because with infinite choice comes infinite responsibility. Let's meet Maya, fresh out of college, armed with a degree and an open mind. The world lay before her like an unwritten novel. Should she pursue her passion for art, which offered uncertainty but deep fulfillment? Or take the stable, lucrative corporate job her parents expected, guaranteeing security but perhaps stifling her spirit? Every mentor told her, "Follow your heart. The world is yours." But instead of feeling empowered, Maya felt paralyzed. The sheer magnitude of choice, the knowledge that she alone was responsible for the outcome of each path, began to weigh her down. This wasn't the blissful freedom she'd imagined. This was heavy. 2. The burden of absolute responsibility. This is where Sartre's condemnation comes into sharp focus. If we are absolutely free, then there's no divine plan, no destiny, no external force dictating our path. We are the sole architects of our lives, our values, our very essence. As Sartre tells us, we are left alone, without excuse. This is the flip side of freedom. If we make a choice and it leads to regret, we can't blame fate or society or our parents. It was us. This radical responsibility can lead to what existentialists call anguish. It's not just anxiety, it's the profound realization that the entire weight of our being and the meaning we create rests squarely on our shoulders. Maya, overwhelmed, chose the stable path. For a while, there was relief, no more agonizing decisions. But soon, a new kind of discomfort set in. A quiet voice whispered, "Is this truly you, or is this just the path of least resistance?" She felt like an actor playing a role, not living her own life. This is what happens when we evade the weight of our freedom. We try to shirk responsibility, to pretend we had to do something, that we had no choice. But as Sartre would argue, even choosing not to choose is a choice. And when we make choices that aren't authentically ours, we live in bad faith. Bad faith is the act of lying to oneself. We lied to ourselves about our freedom, pretending that external circumstances dictate our being, rather than recognizing our absolute power to define ourselves through our actions. 3. Embracing the burden to find true liberation. So if freedom is a condemnation and responsibility is anguish, are we doomed to a life of anxiety? Absolutely not. The beauty of existentialism isn't in wallowing in the weight, but in understanding it and then transforming it into the ultimate source of empowerment. Maya began to understand. Her feeling of emptiness wasn't because she lacked choices, it was because she was evading the responsibility of truly owning them. She realized she chose the corporate job, and she could also choose to leave it, or choose to infuse it with her own values. She started small, deciding what she wanted for her weekends, not what was expected. Taking an evening art class, not for career advancement, but for pure joy. This is the act of creating your essence through existence. It's about recognizing that every single action, every decision, no matter how small, contributes to who you are. There's no predefined you waiting to be discovered. You are being created in every moment. And that, my friends, is where the weight of freedom transforms into its greatest gift, the power to constantly recreate ourselves. So, how do we shoulder this weight and use it to build a life of authentic meaning? 1. Identify your bad faith. Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you blaming external factors for choices you've made? Be brutally honest. 2. Embrace deliberate choice. For every major decision, pause. Acknowledge that you are free to choose, even if the options are difficult. Own your choice fully. 3. Act authentically, even in small ways. If you feel stuck, start with micro choices. What music you truly want to listen to. What idea you truly believe in. These small acts build yourself. 4. Confront the anguish. Don't shy away from the discomfort of responsibility. Recognize it as the feeling of your own power. 5. Create your own values. If there's no inherent meaning, you create it. What do you value? Live those values through your actions. Maya didn't quit her job overnight, but by consciously choosing to infuse her life with her authentic values, by choosing to pursue art as a vital part of her existence, not just a hobby, she transformed her experience. She started to feel truly free, not from responsibility, but through it. 4. The ripple effect, the responsibility to others. Maya started making authentic choices, but soon hit a new wall, the ripple effect. Her freedom didn't exist in a vacuum. Her newfound artistic passion meant less time for her partner, Alex. Her refusal to attend certain corporate events disappointed her parents. This is the deeper philosophical weight. When we choose for ourselves, we choose for all of humanity. Not in a literal sense, but in the sense that our chosen actions define what we believe a person ought to be. If Maya chooses to prioritize passion over profit, she is implicitly saying, this is a value worth pursuing. As Sartre said, in choosing for himself, he chooses for all men. This is terrifying. It means your small, personal choice carries a universal ethical weight. Maya realized that being truly free meant facing the judgment of the world, not just her own internal critic. She had to choose to be responsible for the image of humanity she projected, and that meant having difficult, honest conversations with Alex and her parents. 5. The escape of the in itself, the temptation to quit. The pressure of this universal responsibility became crushing. There were days Maya longed to give up the conscious effort of self-creation. She fantasized about being an object, a stone, a tree, something that simply is without having to choose or define itself. This is the state Sartre calls the in itself, being fixed like an object, versus the for itself, being consciousness, fluid and free. This temptation is the ultimate flight from freedom. It's the desire to become a predetermined machine, to say, I am just a mother, or I am only an accountant, thereby trying to fix her essence and escape the burden of becoming. But the existential truth bites back. We can never fully revert to the in itself, because our consciousness is always aware of the possibility of choice. Maya realized that embracing that tempting label, I'm just too busy for art, was itself a powerful, inauthentic choice. The only way out was through. 6. The crisis of meaning, the void.
Months passed. Maya was living more authentically, pursuing heart, but the stable corporate job was now gone, a choice she had owned. She faced a temporary period of unemployment and financial strain. This is the existential void. When the ready-made meaning, the stable career, the social expectations is removed, what's left? The universe is silent. There is no external meaning to her struggle. There is just the cold, hard fact of her existence and the freedom to starve or create. She had to invent her purpose daily. This wasn't inspiration, this was labor. This period taught her a vital truth, often attributed to Albert Camus. You must imagine Sisyphus happy. Sisyphus was condemned to eternally push a boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down. His freedom was in the moment he chose to
own the absurdity of his task. Maya found her freedom in choosing to give meaning to the grind, the effort of finding new clients, the daily practice of painting, the necessity of budgeting. She chose to be happy despite the meaninglessness, not because of some hidden grand plan. 7. The freedom of no, defining boundaries. As Maya established her artistic career, success brought new choices, collaborations, commissions, demands on her time. She found herself at risk of slipping back into bad faith, saying yes to everything because she feared rejection or failure. She learned the power of the word no. Saying no to a financially lucrative but creatively draining project was an act of profound self-definition. It was her actively shaping her essence, declaring, "This is what I value. This is what I will allow to constitute my being." This freedom of no defines boundaries, protects one's authentic space, and proves that one's identity is not a reaction to external demands, but a conscious, deliberate creation. 8. Forgiveness and the past, redefining history. Despite her progress, Maya often wrestled with the memory of her years in the corporate job, viewing them as wasted time. This sense of regret was another form of evading freedom. It was her trying to deny her past choices. The philosophical answer is that the past is not fixed in its meaning. We constantly redefine the significance of past events through our present choices. Maya chose to redefine her corporate experience not as waste, but as the necessary crucible, the time that provided the stability and the painful motivation needed for her authentic leap. She chose to forgive her past self for making the safe choice, thus reclaiming the freedom of that time and integrating it into her current authentic narrative. This is true freedom, the power to reinterpret your own history. 9. The weight of solitude, the existential aloneness. The most profound weight of freedom is the realization of existential solitude. When Maya made choices based on her truth, she sometimes found herself deeply alone, standing outside the conventional expectations of her social circles. She learned that freedom is inherently solitary. Since she alone is responsible for her essence, she must walk the path of self-definition alone. Friends, family, and partners can walk beside her, but they can never carry the responsibility for her choices. This aloneness is not loneliness, but the recognition of one's absolute uniqueness and separateness. It is the burden of being an originator, not an imitator. This is the final frontier of freedom, finding comfort and strength in the solitude that comes with authentic living. 10. The affirmation of freedom, the choice to create. Maya, now established, looks back. The weight of freedom didn't disappear. She simply got stronger. It's no longer a crippling burden, but the necessary tension that powers her creativity and integrity. The ultimate affirmation of freedom is the choice to create, to choose love, to choose purpose, to choose meaning, fully aware that none of it is guaranteed or preordained. It is the joy of the struggle. The lesson is this: freedom isn't the absence of constraints. It's the conscious choice to define who you are within those constraints. It is the power to stand up, look at the immense weight of your responsibility, and say, I accept this burden. I choose to be the creator of my life. Conclusion. The weight of freedom is undeniable. It's the heavy mantle of self-authorship. But it's also the only path to a life truly lived, a life crafted by you, for you. Remember the ultimate lesson. You are your choices. Every moment, every decision, however small, is you declaring who you are. Don't let the fear of responsibility keep you from the profound liberation of self-creation.
If you find this educative video interesting, do well to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. See you next time.